Okay, so I'm going to read this article and go through this article about a history of UFOs in Alaska. It looked like it was pretty interesting. Um, so let's see how this goes here. Um, I just got done with that. Yesterday, the uh, what was it called? The UFO. It was the UFO incident from Kodiak, Alaska. It's like a you know encountered by military personnel. It's from 1950. That was pretty interesting. I did two videos on that, and just wanted to delve into more about UFOs, vintage UFO cases from Alaska. I'm sure I'll be doing more from on Alaska here soon. There seems to be some really interesting cases, so let's see what this article says on some of these. On July 9th, 1947, three teenage Anchorage girls, Judy Kerr, Vicky Novak, and Nancy Green, claimed to see an unusual white disc shaped object above Elmendorf Air Force Base, where it streaked across the sky and disappeared to the south. According to the girls, the unidentified object traveled at great speed and was moving faster than ordinary planes. The girls also said that it was smaller than any fighter plane and not a weather balloon, which they were familiar with since they were all daughters of servicemen and passed the time watching the base flight operations. These three girls had made the first documented UFO sighting in Anchorage, Alaska, in Anchorage history. Okay. Yeah, because it's July 9th, 1947. The continuing American fascination with UFOs began in 1947. I think it began before that, though, because people were seeing a lot of stuff before that. Oh, yeah, well, here's what it says. Began in 1947, not in Roswell, New Mexico, but Mineral, Washington, a small town south of Tacoma. On June 24th, amateur pilot Kenneth Arnold was in the air above Mineral, Washington, when he spotted nine unidentified flying objects in an echelon formation traveling at an extreme speed. Yeah, I didn't do that story yet. I need to do that one. Lights flashed from them all together and then in a sequence down the line of objects. Huh. He reported the sighting after he landed and was interviewed by an intrigued reporter the next day. The story spread like wildfire from there, aided by overeager editors. Headlines boldly announced reports of flying saucers and flying discs, wordings based on a misunderstanding. Arnold said the objects above Mineral flew like they take a saucer and throw it across the water, skipping and fluttering in the air. He did not say the objects looked like saucers or discs. However, the misquote endured, influencing science fiction and the gullible public for decades. Well, a lot of disc-shaped craft, I mean, they looked like flying saucers, and like when they're upside down. Like legit reports of them. So it's not like just gullible public. I mean, from almost nothing, there were suddenly daily sightings of UFOs across the country in the wake of Arnold's report. There were sightings and there were sightings and reports before 1947. It wasn't almost nothing. In just 1947, there were more than 850 reports of flying discs and saucers in America and Canada. The concept of UFOs burrowed itself into the public psyche, fueled by the rapidly growing fears of the post-war world, of atomic weapons, and the Cold War, almost said Civil War, with the Soviet Union. For many caught within the hysteria. The supposed appearance of flying saucers marked the potential end of civilization as they knew it, whether by Russians or by aliens. Now, on July 8th, the Roswell Army Airfield issued a press release stating Army personnel from there had recovered a flying disc from a local ranch, notably utilizing the new phrasing promulgated by sensationalist newspaper accounts elsewhere. Roger Ramey, commanding general of the 8th Air Force, issued a correction later that day that the disc was simply a weather balloon, but the damage was done. It wasn't simply a weather balloon, though. I mean, they just covered that. They just covered that crap up. The Anchorage girls promptly reported their sighting to the Anchorage Daily Times. Before that week, there had been zero references to flying saucers or flying discs reported in the local newspapers, covering the previous 32 years of Anchorage's existence. But on July 7th, the Daily Times ran its first article on the UFO. The Daily Times ran its first article on the UFO craze. Just 2 days before the three girls claimed to see something over Elmendorf. Oh. Okay. Well, that's interesting. 2 days before. On July 8th, the Daily Times published the first local coverage on the developing story out of Roswell, fueled by the original Army press release that described the weather balloon as a flying disc. The article also noted none have been reported in Alaska yet. Then, though, the very next day, 3 teenagers just happened to see a UFO. No one else from either the Army, Air Force, or Merrill Field saw the UFOs. Lee Teague, special agent in charge of the Anchorage FBI office, stated, "We haven't heard a single report of any persons seeing a flying disc in Anchorage or even Alaska." There will be, though. As it happened across the nation, once one person made a UFO sighting, more reports followed. A railroad foreman claimed to have seen a flying saucer in Healy 6 weeks prior, but had declined to report it for fear of being laughed at. Well, yeah, I mean, think of how many people have seen stuff but just didn't report it. Like, that doesn't mean they weren't up there. I mean, come on. In January of 1950, a retired fisherman in Sitka, Jorgen Mortensen, said he saw a flying saucer outside his cabin at Jamestown Bay. Mortensen said, "I am positively not mistaken. I saw it, but did not mention it as I thought people would think me a little off." Over a week that October, there were 7 UFO sightings in Sitka. On November 30th, 1950, a brilliant blue-white object, almost certainly a meteor, flashed across the sky with sightings from Fairbanks to Kodiak. In early 1952, they just skipped over the Kodiak, Alaska like Air Force and Navy encounter. They just totally skipped over that. Like, that is a well-known UFO case from January of 1950. I didn't see him say that. I mean, in early 1952, 2 men reported a strange light bouncing up and down in the sky over Anchorage. Ooh. In 1953, 6 women claimed to have watched a flying saucer passing back and forth over Eklutna for 2 hours. Wow. Okay. Um, the photo shop on 4th Avenue got in on the fun and offered a $200 reward in 1947, roughly $2,700 in today's dollars. 2,700 in today's dollars for one authentic flying disc or flying saucer. To be clear, they wanted an actual flying saucer, not a photograph of one. As their announcement stated, we want one so that we can take a picture of it to add to our large collection. So just carry, haul, or fly one up to the door and collect your reward. Pfft. Flying saucers were embedded in American popular culture, including in Alaska. By December of 1947, Anchorage shops had the new record from the Buchanan brothers, those flying saucers. Though there were flying disc dances in Anchorage and a flying saucer delivery service in Fairbanks, multiple boats in Alaska were named the Flying Saucer, including a hydroplane that raced at Lake Wasilla. This wave of interest culminated in the first movie about UFOs, which was actually set in Alaska. I never saw it. The straightforwardly titled Flying Saucer was released in 1950. Star Michael, is it Michael or Michael Conrad, also wrote the story, produced, and directed. For a B-movie actor with few credits, the film was his big swing for the fences. His attempt to capture the zeitgeist and subsequently profit in reputation and at the bank. His timing was excellent, but his execution failed him. Okay. Well, we don't have to go over that, but I don't know if the movie would be interesting to see or not. Um, I mean, I love old movies though. I do love me some classic Hollywood movies. Um, just they're continuing to talk about the movie here, but um, says the stunt in the movie he pulled some kind of stunt. The stunt in the movie failed. By the end of the decade, Conrad's acting career was over with just a handful more, mostly uncredited appearances. Oh, um, I don't think I'm familiar with that actor either. The Flying Saucer film is a historical curiosity. It beat better films about flying saucers to the theater, including The Day the Earth Stood Still and Forbidden Planet. I never saw those either. But is best enjoyed today as trivia than as an actual piece of entertainment. It is available online. Okay. So for an article, let's see here. It's not a terrible article. This was done in 1920 or 2022 from the Anchorage Daily News, but like for for saying that this is an article on the history of UFO sightings in Alaska is a little misleading. I mean, it failed to mention other, sightings from Alaska, significant sightings from Alaska, which I really want to get into here shortly, because there looks like there's some really interesting ones. but interesting nonetheless. I hope I can find more detailed accounts on the Alaska, on that one report at the beginning of the article where the three teenage girls saw that flying disc. That should be pretty interesting. I want to know, I want to delve deeper into that one for sure. So that ends the video, and I hope you found it interesting. And let me know your thoughts and comments on anything related to the video below. And I will be back with more UFO related content soon.